everybody? What's going on? I want to welcome you to DJN TV, DJ Talks 2020. And today we're going to talk about remixes. For those of you who don't know me, and for those who do, I'm DJ Tony T. I don't know if you guys and gals have seen my play logs and whatnot that I post up every now and again, and it seems like every time I do, I get a lot of PMs, which are fine, about, hey, where'd you get this remix, and what's up with that, and what's this, and so forth and so on. So let's talk about it. Before we get into it, let's talk about what a remix is. To me, a remix is a new interpretation of a song that's created from individual parts. And of course that can take on a lot of different meanings, but generally that's what a remix is. A remix could be, a total deconstruction where you're just keeping one or two elements and one or two vocal elements and you're creating something completely new. Or a remix could be more like a re-edit where, you keep a lot of the original content and you're just kind of extending parts or accentuating parts. They kind of bring attention to other parts. You got mashups, which take, say like a cappella from one song and an instrumental from another song and put them together. You got dubs, you got bootlegs, there's just all kinds of stuff out there. But at the end of the day, they're all remixes. So why do I use remixes? Well, I think one of the biggest reasons, honestly, that I gravitate towards using remixes is I came to the realization a long time ago that we all have access to the same music, pretty much, especially now in the digital age, and it's been that way for about a good, say, 15 years, where if you hear something, you got a very high likelihood of acquiring that track between the internet, between retail outlets on the internet, between record pools. I'm pretty sure some DJ knows somebody that does some re-edit to whatever. Basically, if you want something, however different and obtuse it is, you can pretty much find it now. So for me, that's why I'm constantly looking for remixes, because it's going to set me apart from everybody else. Because again, we all have the same stuff. We all have access to the same music. So why am I just going to regurgitate what everybody else is doing? At least that's my framework. That's my chain of thought. That's what I do. Plus, I generally like remixes. I like having a different variation of a popular song, because even though, a song is popular, we know radio is going to beat it to the ground. So it's nice to have a different version that still has elements of the song everyone knows, but it has like just a different little flavor, a different shine, a different take, but it's still recognizable. For me, that's kind of just the way my brain works, and that kind of segues into what makes up a good remix. And for me, I know that's subjective, but for me, I think a good remix is one that the crowd can access, that the crowd is not going to shy away from. Because what's the point of playing this remix that I got, that even if I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, is going to go over the room like a lead balloon? It's just, I'm not there to be too cool for the room. I'm there to make sure that the room's having a good time. So what's the point in me playing this obtuse left field remix that no one in a mainstream environment, if you will, are gonna find affinity for? So for me, like I said, a good remix is one that people have access to, that people have affinity with, that people are gonna recognize. It's cool to have that dub remix that, maybe 200 people have, and, that may be part of your private stock. I'll whip it out when I play in the backyard kind of thing. but we are playing to the general public, so you kind of have to keep a foot on both sides of the street, if you will. You want to have a cool version that is going to set you apart and work, but you also want to have that same version be known. You want someone to be like, oh, I know this one. You know what I'm saying? Playing above the room really isn't going to do anybody any good, really. Using remixes helps in your transitions. I like being able to work in a certain space and work with a certain flow, and remixes allow me to do that. I know a lot of DJs like doing the quick mixes. They want to go in and out, and that's fine. And that's fine. And obviously there are remixes that facilitate that style of DJing as well. You want to do the 30-second in, first verse, first chorus, 90-second in out. That's great. There are a lot of remixes out there and edits, if you will, that allow you to do that. That's the style you want. That's great. I tend to be more of a long form, so I actually like to let the music kind of breathe and kind of work, and I like to use space to transition from one song to another and create a vibe that way, and remixes allow me to do that. On that note, don't be afraid to use remixes. I know we still live or I should say work in an environment where, depending where you are, remixes aren't as accessible, and remixes aren't as accepted as the normal versions are. But again, I think that kind of works into a scenario where if you know your music and you're looking for the right remixes that will work for your crowd, you can have your cake and eat it too. Again, it doesn't have to be some overly reconstructed, totally divergent mix that is different than the original. But it's really not that hard to incorporate a good remix that works for you, it works for your crowd, into your repertoire, because it's a powerful thing. It really can open up avenues for you. It actually gives you choices. You're not stuck in the run-of-the-mill, I'm playing this version all the time, this time. You can utilize remixes to help you get from one point to another. That's an important tool. And the flip side to that is, are there scenarios where remixes should not be used? Sure. Nothing's ever, there are a few things that are black and white. Yeah, there's going to be, corporate events, weddings, a multitude of whatever type of event that may not require the need to whip out that awesome folder you just created on your hard drive that has 20 remixes and you're planning on playing 10 of them that night. Sure. There's nothing solid. There's nothing written in stone that says when you do A, it's going to be X, and when you do B, it's going to be Y. Sure, there are going to be scenarios where it's just not needed. But again, it's in this construct, I just want to give you the information to be able to at least think about, hey, if I can play this version this time and see if it works, and oh wow, it did, what else can I do? Because again, it's just a really, really fun tool when deployed correctly and when leveraged at the right event, at the right time, with the right remix. It really creates a really magic moment. It really does, because again, it just puts you onto another level. It puts you to another way that you can make decisions. It opens up doors for you, and at the same time, it sounds cool. So there you have it. There's my DJ talk on remixes. If you have any questions, obviously hit me up. You guys see me around on the interwebs, if you will, and I'm there, and I'm not a hard guy to find. So thanks again for DJ NTV. This has been DJ Talks 2020, and be safe out there. keep them spinning.